Algebra 1, so I've added a day 2 of some practice questions and some explanation, and I started with the addition property of equality. That was one of the questions on there, so I just wanted to point out that it's the addition property of equality when the process for solving is to add on both sides. So even though the problem had a minus, we would use the opposite. So this problem, x plus 3 equals 5, would use the subtraction property of equality, which tells us we can subtract the same thing from both sides. I solved a couple of the practice questions. So 1/3 x equals 5. The opposite of a fraction times a variable is multiplied by the reciprocal. So I multiplied both sides by 3. The other option, which I wrote over here real quickly, was to remember that 1/3 x is the same as x over 3, and you would again multiply both sides by 3. Then I had another one with a fraction here, so 1/4 equals x over 7. You can cross multiply and get 7 equals 4x, or you can just multiply both sides by 7. Since you have x divided by 7, the opposite of that is times 7, and we end up with x equals 7 over 4. Here, for our inequality, we first subtracted 5 from both sides. Your addition and subtraction comes first. And then I divided both sides by -2. Keep in mind that if you divide or multiply both sides of an inequality by a negative, then you have to flip the sign. So that less than turned into a greater than in my solution. So here's my solution, which could also be written x is less than 14 because the x is on the small side. Okay, here on an absolute value equation, I kind of transferred it over here. Remember that an absolute value has to be done twice because the thing in the absolute values could have been positive or negative. So the first time I do it with a +2, the second time I flip the inequality and I change that 2 to a -2. And then I just solve both of them independently and I get x is greater than 4/3 or x is less than 0. Here I'm solving for a variable. The one in the test is actually a little simpler than this, but what we're trying to do, if we're trying to solve, and I didn't write it on my copy, but I'm pretty sure I went back in and added it, is solve for h. And that means we want to rewrite this equation so that it says h equals something. So what I have to do is find what's in my way. The 1/2 is in my way, and the b sub 1 plus b sub 2. Because that's in parentheses, it's all one piece. So I just treat it like one big thing. So I have 1/2, these parentheses, h. Well, what's in my way? The 1/2. So the first thing I did is multiply both sides by 2. Just like I did up here. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2, so I multiplied both sides by 2. Then, what's in my way? This big piece right here, but it's multiplied by h, so I just divide the whole thing by b1 plus b2. And then I end up with 2a over b1 plus b2. So you're just trying to isolate it, get the h alone. Whatever thing you're asked to solve for, you want to get it by itself the same way you would solve any other equation. It's just that your answer is going to probably look more complicated instead of less. All right, once again, contact me with questions, and tomorrow we'll go through a couple of more practice problems, and hopefully this is going to help everybody's final exam grade go up. But remember, I will keep the higher of your 2 tries at this end of course exam.